Conjuring 3. It's probably what I'm going to call it now because I'm sick of writing and saying The Conjuring, the devil made me do it. But this movie is the eighth installment in the Conjuring universe, which has been a hell of a ride. It's hard to believe. Don't look now. The first Conjuring is 8 years old. Don't look now. But shockingly, that movie came out in 2013, and what a franchise it has spawned. This is, I will say, of all the Conjuring movies, of all of them, I think this one has the most interesting story of the three Conjuring movies. I'm not talking about The Nun. I'm not talking about Annabelle Comes Home. I'm not talking about Annabelle's First Christmas, whatever. I'm talking about the Conjuring movies, the three. I think this one has maybe the most interesting story because it's based on the famous Devil Made Me Do It case, which went to the Connecticut Superior Court back in 1981. If you don't know about the story of Arne Cheyenne Johnson, I highly recommend looking into it, about the man who was convicted of first-degree manslaughter for the killing of his landlord, and it was the first time in a U.S. court system that a defendant ever pled not guilty by reason of demonic possession. And it's a wild case. If you haven't read it, or at least kind of read the ins and outs of it, it was fascinating for me just to kind of dive into that. But moving on, though, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It's in theaters. It's on HBO Max right now. And I will say, to start this off, I like that this is not the haunted house movie of the other Conjuring films, because a lot of these Conjuring movies are kind of confined to a house, and they're kind of confined to like things that go bump in the night. This Conjuring actually gets out of the house, so to speak.
Yes.
We're kind of permitted to roam around with Ed and Lorraine Warren, again, valiantly once again played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, who continues to be criminally underrated in my opinion. But this movie permits its characters to kind of go outside that realm and actually interact with surroundings, kind of do their own research. It's very much paranormal investigative journalism. That's what I was kind of thinking to myself watching this movie. It is also, without biting off too much, it is also messy. It's also a very messy and kind of bloated movie in a lot of ways. And I'll throw it over to Joe, though, to continue.
No, I completely agree with you. I like the first two Conjuring movies a lot, actually. I think it's the only two movies of this whole franchise that I really enjoy. I think Annabelle Creation is the best Annabelle movie, but I'm not still crazy about it. I didn't care for The Nun. I didn't care for La Llorona. Like, it's, or however you pronounce it.
La Llorona.
Thank you. I never took Spanish in high school, so my pronunciation of anything Spanish is horrible. As a person who actually did enjoy the first two Conjuring movies, they definitely are those haunted house movies, but they're done very well. James Wan really brought a cool style to it. He brought really great cinematography to the franchise that I felt at the time when it came to mainstream horror films, there wasn't enough of like effort being put into those movies. And then James Wan came in with The Conjuring, and I felt like he kind of brought this new way to like make mainstream horror movies. And I think like Blumhouse kind of took that approach, that you don't have to spend this much money on like a horror film, and all you need to do is really play with sets, costumes, and camera tricks. And like long and behold, we have like a whole studio now, Blumhouse Pictures, that like basically follows that whole template that Wan really used in the first Conjuring film. As much as like I did enjoy that it's not the go and bump in the night like haunted house film, and it is like basically like a buddy cop film where they are trying to solve a paranormal murder. Steve is absolutely right. It's messy, and it sucks that it's messy because it has the best setup out of all these movies. That opening like act and everything, I was with it. I was like, okay, this actually might be like, this is setting up to be probably the best one, a good closure to this trilogy. And no, it's the weakest in my opinion. It's not bad. Like, I wasn't angry about it or anything. But after coming off of The Quiet Place 2, a sequel that did not waste any time, was like straight to the point, hour and 40 minutes. I look at this movie, there is no reason why it had to be 2 hours and 20 minutes long. I was sitting there and I was like, literally like, wow, there's so much you can cut out of this movie. There's not much being said here. And if you were to actually make this tighter, This actually probably would have been a better movie by a mile. Not even just a little bit, by a mile, I think, if you would have cut out a ton, like a large portion of this film. They literally do a side quest in this movie out of nowhere. It's like they
Yeah,
go
yeah.
they go to like a destination in the main quest line of the main plot line, and the guy's just like, I'll help you, but you gotta help me first. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, come on.
Yeah, we
like,
got a Skyrim side quest in the middle of the damn movie here, I will say.
I was like, this is like so out of nowhere, and like the result of what happens, like a demon shows up because of it and almost kills one of the characters, and I'm just like, this is like James Wan, I think, did a good job at keeping it like based on a true story. And it's like, okay, I could kind of see this how it is based on a true story. There were so many parts in this one, especially. Like 2 kind of pushes it, but this really does. 3 to me is like, there's no way in hell this is based on a true story. I don't care what you tell me. Maybe, yeah, the court case and everything,
Based.
sure. Yeah, the base is very much in quotation marks than ever before, I think.
There was an Ed Warren
Yeah.
and a Lorraine Warren.
But like where like demons are popping up and grabbing people by the ankles and pulling them off of cliffs, or showing up in morgues and chasing them down like a Hulk creature. It's just like, dude, come on, man.
Bro,
Like,
I was watching this movie and I'm like, damn, is like the twist at the end that they were on LSD the whole time because this was set in the 70s or something, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
81,
early
sorry, yeah.
80s.
But quick before we go to our Zoom sponsored break, yeah, dude, this I'll say this once and once only. I'm not a horror guy, and this is my very first Conjuring movie. I guess I should watch the first one. Going into it, I was actually no knowledge of anything Conjuring at all. I actually did like the setup here. I like that it follows the adventures. Once I watched this movie, I looked up some info. Oh, this whole series follows the adventures of the Warrens and how they, they're paranormal investigators. That actually sounds pretty cool. And it's a period piece. And it's just a lot. That's a perfect like 70s and 80s. That's like prime, prime occult stuff. And seeing it play out, at least in the beginning, it's like, oh, are they setting this up to be like a trial, or this is like give me some like True Detective vibes? Not fully, but just some of the vibes from it. Like, are they gonna like uncover things? And like we'll go back and forth to the case as it develops. Nope, it's just once you leave that premise, yeah, it just turns into like them wandering around literally chasing ghosts and demons. And like breaking a couple laws, I'm sure, along the way. I'm like, how did they get away with this?
Because we have God on our side.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm like, is there going to be like a clever twist where they were just insane the whole time? I don't know. But yeah, it loses its way. Jokes about side quests. Technically, it's part of the main quest. It's like an earlier quest. Anyway, but like all jokes about that aside, it's like, what are they doing here? Like, is this? There is a sense of grounded reality. There are a couple of characters at times that are presenting them with things like, yeah, we have to ground this in reality. This is too crazy. And like, yeah, I'm a detective. We can't just do this, but then they just keep on doing their occult stuff. And the movie assumes it to be true, which you can do. But then when it comes back to the framing narrative of that, yeah, this person is on the hook for murder. And like, how do you resolve that? And it's to me, it was very unsatisfying in terms of like how it wraps that all up, how it treats it. I didn't know how to treat it. Like, is this like an American Hustle thing where it's like, okay, sure. Yeah, it's based on reality, but you just kind of let it go after that. Which I did wind up doing with this Conjuring movie, but it wasn't self-aware enough where I felt like it knew what it was doing. You know what I'm saying? So in that sense, it wound up being pretty disappointing. And we'll go into some more details after this.